as an online creator, you get hate comments. The bigger you get, the more hate you get. But you know what's super baffling to me and what I don't understand, and I really want to try and understand, just because I don't get it, is that the worst hate I've ever got, ever, for content is about these daily videos I'm making now, about my recovery from the incident, which was me trying to unalive myself. I feel like I keep talking about it, but that's what happened. And I decided to make this series every day. It's triggered people so much that they're leaving the worst hate comments I've ever got, which is a weird time to make, the worst comments you're going to make. And it's not on YouTube. I will say that. It tends to be Facebook. Well, it's all Facebook, but I've never seen so much vitriol. And I'm just so curious, what is it about this particular thing that's triggering people? I have never had so many people saying, stop making content, stop doing this series. And I've explained myself over and over. I've got a lot of time on my hands. Along with the separation, also my job has gone because I was making content with Laura, and now literally that's gone away. So I've got a lot of time. I'm trying to avoid going into depression in the afternoons, which is when it normally happens. So I just make videos, and I love making them, and they're super helpful to me. And you know what's really interesting is, along with the worst hate in the comments, my DMs and my messages are full of just amazing support, unlike the support I've ever seen before. So it's so weird. It's just such an interesting thing to think that this series has provoked such a reaction, and it's so polarizing. Is it because it's a man talking about mental health struggles? I mean, I've had a lot of the man up, pull your socks up, stop whining, whinging. I've had that, and that's kind of expected, but how much of it is not expected? It's just super interesting. What is it that's about this that's triggering people? Is it that it's a man? Is it that it's uncomfortable to see someone going through a mental breakdown? Obviously, that's true. Is it that not you guys, but is it that certain people expect me to make comedy and I'm not doing that anymore? I've never been a comedian. I've always been a musician, and they're upset that I'm not doing that. I've had lots of messages like that as well. Stay in your lane, just make comedy. And I'm not a comedian, I'm a musician. So it's very interesting to try and understand why this is so powerfully triggering to people. It's happening on Instagram, and it's overwhelmingly on Facebook. So it's very interesting. Do you know why it would be? I mean, I'm not letting it bother me, because my new thing is I don't care what people think of me anymore. And that's really stuck with me. That wasn't just a kind of, an off-the-cuff remark, because I realized how sick secrets were keeping me. Secrets were really killing me. Not so much secrets as well, but shame and worrying about what other people thought of me was killing me. It was dragging me down to a point where I couldn't talk honestly about what was going on, and it led to the unaliving. So I'm not going to stop, and I love doing it, and your messages of support have been incredible, and I love getting them. But it's just very interesting. What about this particular thing? And we've made some really off-color content in the past, me and Laura. Some of the stuff we did, we look back on it, we can't believe we said some of the stuff we said. It's so vulgar, and Helen, and it's just so crazy to think that that stuff, no problem. A man talking about mental health struggles, big problem for certain people, and they tend to be on Facebook. Anyway, so that's that. On a positive note, and the best note ever, I also wanted to talk about the best day I've ever had in my entire life with Alfie. Today was unbelievable. I took him to the fair. He'd never been to the fair before, and he loved it. He loved it. Like, he's such a sensory seeker. All of the loud, like really intense lights and games, and he was in his element. He really loved it, and it was such a joy for me to see. Bought in some cotton candy floss, we say. He was like freaked out by that. He was just like putting his tongue on it. He was like, bleh, bleh. And so that was funny to see him sort of negotiate the cotton candy. But he got it in the end. I didn't give him too much because it's pure sugar and he's not used to that. But it was funny to see him like try and like, what is this? How do you do with this? What do you do? He was holding it upside down and he was holding it the right way up, but then he was like eating the stick and then looking down through the cotton candy to his hand. Typical autistic kid. Like, I'm autistic, so I can say that. Looking at it the wrong way, holding it the wrong way. Not the wrong way, just a different way, a different perception of a cotton candy stick. It was just so interesting. Like, you see the other kids his age all doing it as neurotypical normal ways, and he's looking at different, and it's cool. I was like that. He reminded me so much of me today. And then I put him on one of those little toys that the little toddlers go on that sort of go up and down, those things you get at the penny arcades. And all the other kids are like, yeah. And Alfie's just buckling himself in. I didn't think to buckle him in because when I was a kid, you didn't have safety belts on those things. You just sat in them. It was cool. And you ran around. I didn't even know there was a safety belt. So I put him in, started it, and the guy's not interested in the game or anything. He's interested in just strapping himself in. It's hysterical. He's such a unique little boy, and I love it. We had such a great day. The best day I've ever had with him. And at one point, he saw a bench to look at the ocean. And this was such a grown-up thing to do. He walked over to the bench and sat on it to sort of contemplate the ocean like a real old soul. And he was looking and literally contemplating. I could see it in his eyes. He was thinking, deep thinking, which I'm not used to seeing toddlers doing. He's got some special things about him, that boy. Like, I've never seen a 3-year-old do that. He was just staring out at the sea, and he gave me a hug for like 10 minutes. And that may not seem big to you if you've got a 3-year-old. It's huge for Alfie. For so long, he wasn't affectionate at all. So it's so special, any little bit of affection. But for him to spend so much time cuddling me, I was crying. I literally was in tears. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're the best boy in the whole world. That's what I tell him all the time. And he was just looking out to sea, cuddling me. It was fucking incredible. And we're forming this, we've got this incredible bond. This bond has never been as strong as now. It's never been so deep and so emotional. And I never knew if he would ever do that. I never knew. Because when he's diagnosed as level 3, may never speak, may never be independent. They used to say, in the 60s, psychiatrists would say, this is a trigger warning, this is horrible. You should lock autistic people up because they'll never love you. And they will never know love. And it's because they don't tend to, I don't even. Autistic people don't show emotion in a standard way. It's unusual. And they didn't understand that in the 50s and 60s. And that's why so many were institutionalized. because they thought they couldn't feel, but they feel so deeply. I feel so deeply, but I don't express it. I express it through music. And Alfie today expressed a deep love for me that I never thought I'd see, just because he was diagnosed as the most severe autistic level you can get. I didn't think he was even going to communicate. And then that was a beautiful moment. So then we went back, and we went to get ice cream and cookies. And we're both vegan, so we had to go to a specific shop, and they had the ice cream and cookies there. And he sat patiently. The lady, it took a while. He sat patiently just cuddling me in a restaurant full of people. I never thought I'd see the day. Never thought I'd see the day. The cuddling and just sitting patiently, just content in a restaurant. I never thought we'd even be able to take him to a restaurant at one point this time last year. So this is miracles are happening with him. Miracles. And I realised how such a sweet boy he is today, and how, for some reason, when we hang out, he doesn't ever melt down. Not one time. Never. It's so weird, because he does occasionally have meltdowns, but with me, never. So we go and have our ice cream and cookies, and he heard someone say nuts, and he's just going, nuts, and just cracking up. He's killing himself laughing. And then I start doing it, and he's doing it loud, and I'm doing it loud in a crowded restaurant. It was like, oh, but fuck it, I'm just going to go with him. If he stims, I'll stim. Shouting out, nuts, nuts, nuts. And I look up, and everyone's laughing. It was such a sweet moment. Everyone was just enjoying the joy we were having for each other. Like the servers and the other people, they weren't judgmental. They weren't, that's too loud and he's being unruly. There was just so nice, the reaction. What a day. What an amazing day. Wow. He's an incredible little boy. I'm so lucky. It kills me to say, but this time last year, I didn't feel like this. I was just worried for him. I wasn't enjoying him, I was just worried. And every little thing he was doing, and to be fair, he was very different this time last year. He was constantly having meltdowns. He wasn't talking. And I was just so worried about him. But from that to now, so if you've got a kid who's just been diagnosed, hang in there, and it can change. It's not that he's neurotypical. He's very, very different from other 3-year-olds. Completely different. He's completely a one-off. He's totally unique. But then I am too. I'm weird. So I get him probably better than anyone does. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Come back tomorrow and we'll talk about something else.